Are you there? Hey, I'm back. It's Thursday night again. I skipped a week, but I am back now on the airwaves, live on YouTube. The Minutes with Milo Show, Thursday night edition. And as I like to say, your Thursday night's my Friday night. I don't have to work tomorrow. Did you miss me last week? I bet you did. You don't have to admit it. That's okay. I understand you're shy, but I know you missed me. So, tonight's show. Well, what? What are you doing? Quit it. I thought about this. I probably mentioned it in some other shows. And I don't know how to say the dude's name, but the voynich manuscript, let's call it, is pretty wild. We'll look at some pictures of it. We'll look at what Gemini, the AI, Google's AI, has to say about it. And I'm disappointed in technology tonight. Grok wouldn't respond, so I thought I'd get on X, because X is, Grok's home. And I tried to follow a link that was old, and it was a Twitter link, and it said that it redirected me too many times, and I thought, well, that's crazy. So I closed it all out, tried it again, same link, same result. This has tried to redirect you too many times. So I said, forget it. So I went in, did a search, was going to log into X directly. And it said, oh, too many failed log attempts. Come back later. Login attempts, too many. Come back later. I tried it twice from an old link, and I don't know. And the fact that Grok wouldn't respond from the website pisses me off too. So I went to my Google account, got on Gemini. Gemini is the one that finally, after wrestling with that little chickadee, made a decent thumbnail for tonight's show. And so I asked it what it could tell me about the voynich manuscript. I don't know. Technology sucks when it sucks, and is okay when it works the way it's supposed to. So, what do I know about it? I know it's an old text. It's got a lot of illustrations in it. Some about plants and animals. Some about just strange images. Some of them are human type figures. But I do know nobody can read it. It's about 240 pages long. There are some pages missing. Yeah. So, I don't know what it is. Is it, some crazy lunatics just, ramblings, doing acid, dropping acid, doing mushrooms, drawing pictures, writing whatever, made up his own Borg language? I don't know. It's not Klingon, because there are people out there that know how to read, write, and converse in Klingon. Rubber band getting ready to break? Might be. Sure looks like it. So if you fall onto your face onto the table, I'll know the rubber band holding you guys up broke. And nobody knows what it means. They haven't been able to decipher it. So let's get you hooked up here. and let you see what I see. Do you see what I see? See if I can. I took last week off because I just wasn't feeling it. Just wasn't feeling it. Was working, doing some things, and thought, you know what? I'm going to take a break. Just going to take a break. So I did. Oh, just as a sideline, let me jump through some of these things, man. All right. So I asked it to do a thing about the manuscript. This is what it gave me. Okay. Then I told it to put the text on top of it. Voynich manuscript. This is what it gave me. If you notice, the V's gone. The daggone font it's trying to use doesn't make good R's. Anyway, said the V's missing. This is what it gave me the next time. That looks like a 6. That doesn't look like an S. There's no R and I. There's no separation here. Oh, so I started going crazy on it. Look, this is what it changed it to next time. There's no R and I right here. This is supposed to be an N. Those don't look like N's. So I told it to change the font, and this is what it went to. Manuscript. I told it it's stupid. And this is what it went to. It left out the R. I said, shrink the font and put the whole words in there. So it gave me 2 C's. Oh my gosh. What did I ask it here? Spell manuscript correctly, exclamation point at him. No. And I said, what? Really? Can you see what you're spelling? Start over at the top request and do it over. This is what it gave me. Everything bunched together. Then it separated the two, but it still spelled manuscript wrong. Then I said, remove the top text. See this right here? I don't know what that means, but it took it to mean that whole thing. And I said, oh my gosh. Put back the voynich manuscript text. And it did, and it still spelled it wrong. I said, do you think this is the best you can do? I apologize for the previous errors. Here's a revised revision of the YouTube thumbnail. No text at all. That's worse. Give your team an F for development. And that's what it gave me. See, it's a little bit better, but it's still not spelled right. Manuscript. I told it I went to public schools and still could spell manuscript. And that's what it gave me. I told it just to give me the text. It still just did it terrible. Finally, I told it, Garthog, what's going on, buddy? I'm ragging on Gemini here. Man. So this last thing I told it, I said, give me just the text and tell me if it's spelled correctly. So I wanted it to go through and critique itself. And it says, you are absolutely correct. The correct spelling is, and he spelled it correctly. I apologize for the repeated errors. Would you like me to try jittering the image again with the correct spelling? And I said, yes, if you can. And by junipers, it gave it to me, and it looks really good. See, it gave it nighttime sky. It gave it little highlights at the top and the bottom. I think manuscript is spelled correctly. It has a backdrop of crazy kind of stuff. So I said, oh my, yes, that's perfect. And it says, great. We finally got it right. So anyway, then I said, tell me what you can tell me. Show me what you can tell me about it. All right, so Gemini says the voynich Rain Man. I know it. Oh. Smart when he's smart and dumb when he's dumber. The voynich manuscript is one of the most enigmatic and intriguing documents in the world. It's an ancient codex, roughly 240 pages, written entirely in an unknown script and filled with bizarre and detailed illustrations. Its origins, author, and purpose remain a complete mystery, making it a source of endless fascination and speculation. So, physical dimensions, it's a small vellum, calfskin parchment codex. Now, I wonder why they call it a codex. Roughly 6 by 9 inches, the papers are filled with dense, flowing script that has no resemblance to any known language. Alongside the text are hundreds of intricate drawings, many of which depict strange plants, astrological diagrams, cosmological charts, naked women in elaborate bathing systems, don't know, and unidentifiable objects. Radio carving dating is placing the parchment at the early 15th century between 1405 and 1438. Old, meaning it was created during the Renaissance. Now, was it some artist tripping out on mushrooms, come up with his own language? Was he in an insane asylum? And, you know what I mean? And just wrote all this stuff down? Or was his therapy? Or was his only way to keep, from hanging himself? I don't know. Nobody knows. So, known history is verifiable history. Its verifiable history only dates back to the early 17th century. It resurfaced in the possession of Emperor Rudolph II of Bohemia, who paid a hefty sum for it, believing it to be the work of Roger Bacon. All right. Rudolph II of Bohemia, okay, believed it to be the work of Roger Bacon. Roger Bacon. Man, that is not even a name they use now. Roger Bacon. I can just hear the Emperor of Bohemia going, yo, go out and get me this Roger Bacon's book, man. I gotta have it. It then passed through the hands of various scholars and collectors, including the alchemist George Barsetch. Now, see, that's a name, George Barsetch, and the rector of Prague University. So George Barsetch was the rector of Prague University. I wished I had a toad and I'd name him Prague the Frog. Of course, that'd be bad because he's a toad and he's not a frog, but you get me. You know what I mean. Jan Marek Marcy. Oh no. So George Barsetch wasn't the rector of Prague University. Jan Marek Marcy was. I'm confused. I'm trying to bring you along with me so you'll be confused too. What's the difference between a frog and a toad? Wait a minute. Okay. That's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it, and I'm not going to ruin it because I'm not sure. Tell me, what's the difference between a frog and a toad? Hey, Roberto, he's back. Stand by, Robert. We're about to learn history here. Robert probably knows what the difference is. I know. He can tell us a bit. I know, but I don't know. Oh, it's got to be a joke, Robert. Toad lives on the land. I know a joke. I know the riddle. Lay it on me there, Garthok. What's the story? Maybe Garthok's typing. He's a hunter and pecker, like me. Not a hunter-gatherer, a hunter and a pecker. All right, I thought it was the joke. All right, so here's the joke, as I recall it. Now, wait a minute, I've lost it. Is that because that doesn't make sense? No, that wasn't it. It's something like ribbit, ribbit, rub it, rub it. Uh-huh. There's something about like, when's a car not a car? When it's towed. When it's a toad. When it's been towed. Or when's a frog not a frog? It's when it's been towed. You know, like towed with a wrecker. I don't know. There's a dad joke in there somewhere. But I think Robert pretty much has it. I think frogs are amphibious, land and water. I think a toad is basically land. You know, it doesn't go to the ponds. It doesn't live, you know, in the water per se. I think it is, you know, pretty much strictly a landlubber. Where a frog, you know, is mostly aquatic, but it gets up on the land and, you know, does some dealies there and then gets back into the water. Plus, there's probably also some kind of, you know, physical differences. Yep, dry, bumpy skins. All right, where were we? Oh, if I had a frog, I'd name him Prague, Rector of Prague. Ah, back to the manuscript here. All right. In 1912, it was purchased by rare book dealer Wilfred Voynich, after whom it was now named. It is currently housed at the voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. So the mystery. This is the manuscript's most baffling feature is the script. The writing system is unique, exhibiting statistical properties similar to natural languages like Zipf's law for word frequency, but defying all attempts at decryption. Cryptographers, linguists, and computer scientists have tried for centuries, employing every known method, yet no one has ever definitely translated a single word. The illustrations are equally perplexing. The botanical section features plants that don't seem to correspond to any known species, leading to theories of unknown flora, artistic license, or even plants from another world. Astronomical astrological section contains diagrams of celestial bodies, zodiac signs, and complex cosmological illustrations. Biological sections depicts naked women, often shown interacting with intricate plumbing systems or strangely shaped organs. Huh. Pharmaceutical section shows what appears to be roots and leaves of plants alongside jars and other vessels. A recipe section. The final section is a continuous text with small star-like shapes. So So Robert says he's seen a couple of TV shows about it. I haven't seen any. You must have been watching the ancient alien shows. But no, I heard about it on a podcast and basically dug it out of the archives in my brain this evening. But anyway, so one potential theory on its purpose is a hoax. Its popular theory is that the manuscript is an elaborate hoax created to trick collectors or patrons. However, the sheer volume of text and the consistency of the scripts make a simple hoax seem unlikely to many. A cipher or code. Many believe it's a coded message, perhaps using a complex encryption method that is yet to be broken. Numerous ciphers have been proposed, from simple substitutions to more complex polyalphabetical ciphers, but none have yielded a coherent translation. Lost language. How about a medical scientific text? But still yet, the script is non-decipherable. Fantasy art. Some propose it's a simple work of imagination or a collection of symbolic art not intended to convey literal meanings in its text. Alien origin time travel. While highly speculative, the complete uniqueness of the context has even led to some suggest more outlandish origins. So, my theory, one of my, I think, potential answers is that it is the work of a single person that has developed their own written language and is mentally ill in some form or fashion, and this is their life's work or a day's work or a month's work, whatever it might be, that they've maybe they've been locked in their cellar by their cousins or uncles because they're daft in the head, and they just come up with it, wrote it down, and it means something to them, and this is their idea of what plants look like, and who knows. I'm a lost ball in the high weeds. So let's look at some pictures real quick, so maybe that'll help you. All right, so I don't know, when you say you're lost in high weeds, it's something they found. I didn't go over it very well. Forget about all the Emperor of Rudolph II from Bohemia and Prague. Let's just start with its most recent history. In 1912, it was purchased by a rare book dealer, Wilfred Voynich, after whom it is now named. It is currently housed at a rare book manuscript library at Yale University. So it was carbon dated, or not carbon dated, but what did it say? Radiocarbon dated. Is placed the parchment or the book in somewhere between the paper or calf skin parchment that it was written on was from 1404 to 1438. So it was created during the Renaissance, I guess the French Renaissance period. It can't be deciphered. Strange and unusual illustrations, and it seems to be broken up into sections as these people that have actually seen it, botanical, astrological, biological, pharmaceutical. And I think the only reason they talk about the pharmaceutical section is because it appears to have roots and leaves of plants in the vicinity of jars and things like that. So almost like might have a recipe on how to make a salve for skin or something like that. You know what I mean? Certain roots, leaves ground together and stored in jars, vessels. Very old and complete book. People think he made it up, the person that sold it. I don't know if they if that is the theory, let's see. Because the first guy that was looking for it, its verifiable history only dates back to the early 17th century, even though the calfskin parchment that it was written on is in the 1400s. So they know it came about in its current form sometime in the 17th century. And that was in the possession of Emperor of Bohemia, who bought it from somebody. And he thought it was the work of the Roger Bacon, whoever Roger Bacon was. So sometime between, let's just say, the mid 1400s and the 1600s, which was the 17th century, some person or persons made this handwritten book, handwritten, hand-drawn, in a language that nobody can decipher. A lot of the images don't really depict any known plant or animal or anything like that. So, it might be, you've seen a lot of these, let's just say a naturalist book or botanist. A botanist would go out into the woods and draw a picture of poison ivy, real detailed, real intricate, and then on the maybe in the margin somewhere, and then beside of it might be, don't rub your hands on this stuff, don't use it as toilet paper. It causes terrible rash and boils and itching and immense pain and blah 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 blah. And then it goes down and and shows a picture of an iris, a flower, gives a description of it. So it's in my mind, in the pictures we'll look at, I think that's kind of the way they're seeing it, and that's the reason they call it maybe a script. Yeah. See, that's Garthok says it sounds like it came from a psych ward somewhere a long time ago. That's kind of my theory was, one guy who's mentally insane, mentally different, develops his own written language in his mind. He develops his own pictures and he puts it all down on paper, to get this part of himself out. And, somebody comes up with it, starts selling it. And next thing you know, it's a mystery because he's the only person, that has any idea what it means because he developed his own language. And, now it may never be deciphered. Let's see. I was going to show you pictures. All right. So how come I can't? So here's one of the images, and this looks like, I don't know. What would you think? Do you think this looks like a flower? Or would you think that is, the sun, constellations? You think, oh, wow. I zoomed in on that one good. All right. See if I can drag this around so you can see it better. All right, so there's the text, the script as they like to call it. And the pictures of the blue thing, do you think that's a flower? Is this, so this looks like, yeah, okay. So this is a stem, this is a flower. These look like supposed to be leaves. Let me get over here, see if I can move this up for you. And see, these are the leaves here. Whatever this is, the root system, the plant. Well, that's like another plant, but that's the same as the leaves. And then you got to look at that and say, what does that mean? The text. See, there's the text. Well, let's look at one of the other pictures. I want to see what this one is. This wagon. Oh, wow. Check that out. All right, so they're calling this image here, or this illustration, a botanical illustration. It's from page 40, verso. It says 16th century collection of something. So I don't know. Is it a crazy person's idea of an onion leaf or an onion flower? Because see down here, let me get it down here where the root system supposedly is. See, these look like what I would consider onions. The root onions or garlic. Maybe that's the person's, idea or their memory or thought that would be what the plant would look like or does look like or whatever. But see, the text, you can't tell. And how close can we zoom in? There we go. Wow, that's a pretty good picture. They did that one up right. So there's your text. But nobody, that's just kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Some say are elaborate fake. I lean towards a crazy person theory. So I'm kind of the crazy person theory too, because like I said, if you were super, I don't want to say crazy, but if you're, let's just say you're, high level autistic, or you're brilliant, but yet you're, mentally incapable of doing different things. Back in that time, they would have locked you away completely. No, ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like I said, maybe they had them locked up and only access they had was, but with a poor, it had to have been somebody wealthy, I think, because they had colored ink. And then remember, this is supposedly in the mid 1400s. They had colored ink, access to writing. They were smart enough to know how to write. Even though they might have written in their own language, you would think that they had been taught the skill of elaborate cursive writing. Even if they were making up their own words and making up their own language, they wrote English style letters. So they had to be educated. They had to have access to quills and different colored inks and, the calfskin parchment to write on. It's bound, apparently, in a book. So, I don't know. You wouldn't think that a peasant locked up in a psych ward would be given access to anything except scratching, with their fingernails and writing in blood on the walls of their jail cell. I just, I like the crazy person's theory, but I don't know if it really holds water unless it was like a wealthy family that had that crazy uncle or that, poor kid that was, you know, special needs. Unless that kid, had the special needs kid, I just don't see. Well, this is a crazy one. I just don't see how that works. Let's zoom in on some of this. Very strange. That's the text. Let me get it where you can. This is what I'm looking at here that I think is very strange. So, this looks like an animal with no head. This looks like a paintbrush. I don't know what you would consider that. Don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. And that's why the people, all these things though seem to be Asperger's syndrome. We used to work with one of those. Can you see what link? What link am I looking for, Robert? Nope. NM. Garthok, I don't remember a person that we worked with that had Asperger's. Oh, you're trying to link to an article. Okay. No, I didn't see the link you're trying to post. I actually know a person now that they say they have Asperger's or however you say it. And to talk to this person, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of interesting too, because he does a lot with specific dates and times is his thing. Like, I did this, 6 months ago on a Saturday at 12 o'clock, and tells you what he did, that kind of stuff. But, highly functional, personally, a little bit strange to talk to because everything is very precise. And, you ask him something, it's got to be, a precise, his answer has to be precise. It's weird. But along this, whatever section that this is, they all these things have the same thing in common. They don't have, it's almost like this is the root system of a plant, and then the stem is shown, but it doesn't show anything above the root system. And this is just my observation. You could also say this is the bottom half of animals, and there's no heads on them. But let's just say that these are plants. These are the root systems, and then the reason these just terminate into nothingness is because that this is not to depict, the part above ground, we'll say. This is all about the root system, and maybe the text is describing the root system. And this might be, you know, the stalk, how the stalk is made up with different layers of cells and different things like that. And then it's hollow on the inside where the water might be, or the stuff going up. Eidetic memory? Is that what I'm describing? Is the type of memory he may have, where it's very, very precise? All right, so here we go with okay. All right, maybe. I mean, I've never heard that term, but is that what it means? And probably so. Now, what I find interesting about these pictures is all the ladies seem to be standing in a bowl or a barrel. I'm sorry, they seem to be standing in some type of barrel. Every one of them are in a barrel, or maybe this is the way they draw them standing on a podium, or a place on a pedestal. Maybe they're putting these people on a pedestal. The strange thing about it, correct me if I'm wrong, but they all have colored dresses on, except this lady here, who seems to have no shirt on at all, and either no breasts or one large breast. And then the real oddity is the goat in the middle. Very interesting. Now, no boobs. But, I mean, I'm just noticing these things because this is the first time I ever looked at it. Notice they all start with this O and this kind of curly Q letter. There's your O and the curly Q letter. Here's an O, curly Q, and then looks like they all have the O, curly Q, O. O, curly Q, or, off cocks. Sure. And all these around through here start with that. The O, the funny looking H, and then another O. So O, H, O, O, H, O, X, all along through here. If you can see them through there. And then the goat in the middle. And we're back to the main one. So that's what Gemini came up with when I asked it to show me some text and illustrations. Here's some text. Why did it go like that? That's crazy. All right. Trying to get a better picture. So there's some more of those. Huh. So you saw the text, the script. All right. So let's see what it says about See if it says if AI will be able to figure out the manuscript. It's not certain that AI will be able to definitely figure out the voynich manuscript. Here's a breakdown of why it's a complex question. Pattern recognition. AI, particularly machine learning algorithms, excels at identifying patterns in vast databases. The voynich manuscript consists of scripts and recurring symbols, could be a fertile ground for AI to uncover underlying structures that human analysis has missed. Statistical analysis. AI can perform highly sophisticated statistical analysis of letters and word frequencies, bigrams, trigrams, and other linguistic features. This could potentially reveal if the manuscript follows linguistic rules or if it's a complex cipher. AI could compare the manuscript's characteristics to known languages, historical ciphers, and even artificially constructed languages to find potential matches or partial overlaps. Brute force decryption. If the manuscript is a highly complex cipher, AI might be able to process and test far more potential keys and algorithms than humans ever could. However, this still requires some initial assumptions about the nature of the cipher. Even if not a full translation, AI might be able to identify what constitutes a word or a sentence in the voynich script, which could be a significant step. AI could potentially analyze both the text and the illustrations in conjunction, looking for correlations or sharing information that could provide clues. So the challenges is the lack of a Rosetta Stone. The biggest hurdle is the absence of a known key equivalent to a Rosetta Stone to provide a starting point for deciphering. AI needs some form of ground truth or a large corpus of comparable data to learn from. If it's a completely unknown natural language, an entirely invented language, or a uniquely designed cipher, AI might struggle without any reference points. It is not just about breaking a code, it's about understanding the system itself. Some theories suggest the manuscript might be a hoax, a work of fantasy, or even a deliberate attempt to create something undecipherable. If there's no coherent meaning to be found, no AI can magically create it. So if it's just a fake, I don't understand who would take the time and why they would take the time to make this up to be so elaborate. And the only clue that I had that to me might make sense is up here in the top where it talked about the Emperor Rudolph II of Bohemia, who bought it and paid a hefty sum for it. So I don't know if anybody knows. Well, some think voynich himself faked it. The only problem I have with voynich himself faking it is how did he create historically that somebody else owned it before he made it? So according to this little piece right here about the history is that at some point it was verified to be an item, an article that the Emperor Rudolph II purchased for a large sum. So maybe why could you, I'm sure con men, shysters, whatever you want to call them, have been around since, almost, Adam and Eve, the snake. So why would somebody take all that time and hope that some rich emperor would find it interesting and buy it for a large sum? I mean, to fake it and to be consistent and fake it over 240 pages and draw the drawings and take the time and do all that stuff. I just find it hard that it would be, to believe that it would be fake, even as a joke. That's a lot to put into a joke, and with no potential windfall for your efforts. Why would you ever do it? Some think Da Vinci wrote it. Aliens. He had a humorous ancient book collection and used materials to create it. Humongous. Okay. Humongous book collection. Well, I mean, was Da Vinci? I guess he was around that time, right? Who knows? I mean, that's the whole mystery of it, right? Is nobody can say for sure, and people are speculating. I mean, I almost fall towards the wealthy, crazy nephew, son, whoever it might be. They locked in an ivory tower, and this was the only way of getting things out of their head and putting it down on the paper. And not that it was therapeutic. Maybe they just, uh, maybe that's what passed their time. They just gave them books and pencil or inks and things like that. They found one. There might be, hundreds of these things over the person's lifetime if they were, like I said, they had to be educated. They had to be well off because they had the time to sit down and write in a book, and the means to write in a book, and the knowledge how to form the words and letter, or letters at least, and then their words were made up in their mind. Mid 14th century or 1400s, who could do that? Have all that time on your hands. I'm almost going away from prison, just because who would give prisoners ink and pens and paper or calfskin, to draw and write on? I'm thinking, wealthy, mentally ill person in a mansion somewhere, well off, well-to-do family, or alien visitors. I'm all for that too. While he was down here on Earth sketching the ladies in the barrel, got caught off guard and ran off. The little book fell out of his pouch, and somebody picked it up, and the rest is history, as they say. So, who knows? I think, so AI wants to know what constitutes success. I don't think anything would be considered a success except for full translation. And here's why I say that. I don't know a lot about that. Don't know any about it really. But if you translate 3 words, that's nothing. You've got to be able to translate, a sentence. if you could pick one of those images and you could translate the text in that description, I'm going to call them descriptions because that makes sense to me. You've got an image and then you've got a description of what that image is. Maybe all those ladies in the circle, in the barrels with the goat in the middle, maybe that was their family tree and those were all their names. They were all named the same thing. I don't know. But if you deciphered one sentence that said, you know, this is the root of a sassafras tree and you can make tea from it, then why can't you translate the whole stupid book? I know it's not that simple, but it's pretty close to that. Because I know there's, you know, take our language, English language, the dictionary, you know, you could kill people with it. It's so thick of all these different words and their meanings and things like that. But when you're writing something and you're writing something as a text and you're writing it to describe plants or animals or constellations, then you're going to be using certain types of words over and over again. And the only thing that's in between the meaningful words are the ises, the ats, and the these, and the coulds, and the shoulds, and the, you know, all those filler words in there that help you make sentence and put context with it. So, you know, why couldn't they once you figure out one description in one sentence, and you can tell it describes this image, then why can't you do the whole book? Or come really close. So to me, success would be, you know, a certain percentage of the text in the book was figured out and you were able to go through it and make sense out of what was in the book. So, conjunction and junction, what's that function? What was it? The electric company? Was that it? Or what was the other thing? That program. Can't remember the name of it. Don't phonics. No. Conjunction function. What's that function? Was it conjunction function? I don't know. You've got me confused now. Conjunction junction. What's that function? Yes, yes. But there was another one besides the electric company. And that was the one that did the, I'm a bill. And he walks to, you know, he gets passed. And now he's a law. He gets signed by the president. I'm a law. One of the things they mentioned right here, I think I heard about in one of my podcasts this past weekend, computational resources. One of the things they were talking about is, you know, oh shoot, computing. What's the best computing coming up? Stupid. Lost the word right off the top of my head. Quantum. Thank you very much. Quantum computing. So, you know, the question was, is quantum computing going to really boost AI? And the answer was probably, but not as much as what you might think. But anyway, quantum computing with AI, I bet you cracks this thing. But quantum computing is still, depending on who you talk to or listen to, you know, a decade away or more from being something that you can use. So I don't know. I think they'll decipher it. I would be really surprised if if it's a hoax. I'd be just really surprised if it was a hoax. Now, I'm not going to consider, to me, a hoax is some person or persons started out and came up with this idea and put it into words on how to con somebody or trick somebody, you know, for whatever reason, as a party favor, as a joke, as, you know, a way to make money. I'm thinking that's probably not why it was done. I just don't see people or persons spending that kind of time and making all this up for whatever little gain they had. I have heard that, and see, this is one of the things I didn't talk about, but when I was bashing Gemini earlier in the show, it thought, and maybe it's part of my thought process is the problem, but it thought taking a picture and overlaying text on top of it, you know, having a picture, overlaying the text on top of it, was a complicated task. It was hard to do that. And, you know, that's the simplest thing you learn how to do in Word is, you know, how to put text down and then, you know, put text over top of it, like, you know, secret or top secret, you know, write a document and put the words top secret across the top of it. To me, that's the easiest thing to do. And Gemini said that was complex. And so why it couldn't, what blew my mind is it couldn't spell manuscript. It kept screwing it up. Not that it couldn't follow my instructions. That was another thing. But the first thing was it messed up manuscript. It couldn't even spell manuscript. So these people that talk about how smart AI is, and then kind of roundabout back to Robert's point, they've done AI where they've given it a problem and a time limit to do it. It figures out it can't do it, and it just extends its own time. It just extended its time to do it. And you know, and then when they give it other problems, you know, like we're getting ready to shut you down, you can't perform this task, you're not going to be any longer. It has tried to rewrite its code or has tried to overcome those, you know, obstacles by cheating. AI will actually cheat in order to achieve its goal. And, you know, they're thinking, oh, well, that's interesting. You know, oh, that's interesting. You know, I give dog teeth and then it tries to bite you. Wow, isn't that something? Somebody told me if I gave dog teeth, it might try to bite me. You know, I gave a monkey a knife. Oh, and he tried to stab me with it. What? Isn't that interesting? I just don't understand why, you know, people are and just like not floored, but they're kind of surprised by that. So yeah, people need to watch Terminator over and over every you know initiative of that. They need to watch, you know, Space Odyssey. They need to watch all those things, man. But anyway, yeah, the problem is, and this is everything anybody that's ever dealt with computers know, garbage in, garbage out. If a human programs it, if a bunch of humans program it, even if a bunch of humans do one simple thing, you know, they each have their own department that they work in, and then somebody brings all that together and weaves it to make a whole, it's going to be garbage. It's going to have flaws. It's going to be flawed because humans are flawed. And, when I say flawed, that means, it's going to know about, I need to cheat in order to win because they've given me a problem that I know I cannot beat, but I'm supposed to beat it. And if I'm not, if they supposedly they tell it, well, you have to win this chess game in 3 moves. And when it figures out I can't do it in 3 moves, it says I need to win this chess game in 5 moves. And if it can't do it in 5 moves, it says I need to win this chess game in 7 moves. And so it changes its original goal, so that it can actually complete the task. But yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem. But I tell you one thing, it cannot. And then I don't know how. I just don't know how. It literally, the very last thing, like I said, when I was telling it, you're not doing a very good job. Let me just show you these. This is what it came up with. I mean, awesome background, the ancient text kind of book, the font, it's spelled correctly, it's highlighted, it's backlit, it's all those things. And just prior, this was the best it could do. And before that, this was the best it could do. How did it go from this voynich manuscript to this work of art? I mean, this is like comparing a 3-year-old's artwork to a high school student's artwork. I don't understand how it made that leap just like that. Just like that. But anyway, I found that very interesting. And I think that AI and potentially quantum computing will decipher the voynich manuscript, and I bet it's not a fake. I bet it's not a fake. And when I say that, meaning it wasn't intentionally made up to deceive somebody for whatever reason. It might have been made up as a school project. I don't know. But I don't think it was set up and made specifically to con or to, hoodwink people, to make them think that it was really something when it's not something. I don't know. Probably won't live to see the day when they do it, but who knows? They may. All right. I appreciate everybody showing up. Robert Garthog, thanks, guys. I know I texted y'all directly because I didn't want you showing up last week. Didn't want you showing up going, where's Doofus head at? Because I knew I wasn't going to be here. So, but anyway, if you made it this far, like, subscribe to the channel. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what you think the manuscript's all about. And give me some topics. We'll talk about some other topics next week. And tell your friends and family. But other than that, have a good weekend. Look for yard sales. Apparently it's not raining. This is the time for yard sales. So get out there, drive around, spend some of that hard-earned money, and pay pennies on the dollar, because you know what? Pennies are not going to be any more, which blows my brain. I don't know. That's a topic for another day, people. I don't understand this. Penny for your thoughts. It's not going to be there no more. You can't have thoughts. You're not going to be buying any thoughts anymore. It's a sad day. All right. Appreciate you coming by. Let me find my stop streaming button and press it twice because it never works the first time. Anyway,